amongst us, Meher from Tinker Hub, Kochi. Where is he? Please come on stage. He embodies what I love about justice making, just the pure joy of creation. Like you create because you can see something as possible. You ask, what happens if I do this? क्या होगा अगर मैं ये करता हूँ? और just creation के लिए. और वो लोगों से बहुत प्यार करता है. जो भी आता है उनके जगह पे कोची में, आप प्लीज़ आके देख लीजिए टिंकर हब कैसा है. किसी के लिए भी ओपन है इनविटेशन, और वो आके एक दूसरे के साथ बहुत बढ़िया चीज़ बनाते हैं. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर एम्बॉडिंग द जॉय ऑफ जस्टिस मेकिंग, मेहर. और उनके साथ है अजहर, जो कश्मीर से, ये पूरी केरल से कश्मीर की कहानी हो गई, कश्मीर से. और इनका क्या कहना, ये भी करते हैं जो भी करना है. वो he does anything that has to be done. He has been an RTI activist. He tells stories of people. He does peace building work और traditional knowledge का conservation भी देख रहे हैं. One of those who is just forced by the love of seeing what needs to be done, लोगों को क्या चाहिए, and pulls up everything in his energy to be able to do it. So बहुत अच्छा लगा आप दोनों को यहाँ आके. Please introduce कैलाश.
Hi. So when we are trying to do an introduction about Kailash, and then first thing came up from his blog is like he's an upsidist, and we were trying to figure out what is the Hindi for that. Ulte chindre wali or something, what's the nearest, so we decided to drop that. So Kailash is an upsidist who deeply concerned about environment and people, but he chose not to give up. He sees the world through the lens of open source technology and our shared ability to build things together for the community. Through his work, Olam Dictionary, Force United, Rainmatter Foundation, and Samagata Foundation, he has tried to shape the kind of world we want to live in. Many of us know him as like the CTO of like India's largest stockbroker firm, Zerodha, but here he is as someone like as a curious, who is like a believe in building together.
Thank you, Kailash. कैलाश एक ऐसा शख्स है जो थोड़ा सा उल्टा सीधा सोचता है, लेकिन माहौल और लोगों की फिक्रमंदी इसके दिल में बहुत गहरी है. फिर भी वो हार मानने वाला नहीं. वो दुनिया को ओपन सोर्स टेक्नोलॉजी और उस ताकत से देखता है कि हम सब मिलकर अपनी कम्युनिटी के लिए कुछ बना सकते हैं. ओलम डिक्शनरीज, फोर्स यूनाइटेड, रेन फाउंडेशन, समागता फाउंडेशन जैसे कामों के ज़रिए वो वही दुनिया बनाने की कोशिश कर रहा है जिसमें वो खुद रहना चाहता है. ज़्यादा लोग इससे भारत की सबसे बड़ी स्टॉक ब्रोकर कंपनी ज़रोडा के चीफ टेक्नोलॉजी ऑफिसर के तौर पर जानते हैं, लेकिन मेले में वो एक आम सा तजुस रखने वाला आदमी है जो बस मिलकर चीज़ें बनाने पर यकीन रखता है. आइए हम सब मिलकर इस मेले में उनसे सीखेंगे और बहुत सारी चीज़ें बनाएंगे. थैंक यू.
Morning. Just a second, I'm waiting for that little device that lets me...
So, to go forward, to go backwards.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. The title of the session that's printed says Commons, but honestly it's digital commons, two very different things. Commons is what we have here around us, water, earth, it's a finite planet, nature. When you take from the commons, the real commons, it depletes. So you must be very careful, but we aren't. Here, I'd like to talk about digital commons. When I was at the university, this was mid-2000s, I had this frustration. I had many frustrations, but I had this one particular frustration, the lack of an online dictionary. I'm a Malayalam speaker, I'm from Kerala. And once in a while, I'd want to know the Malayalam definitions of certain English words. And every time I'd go online and look up on Google, I'd be disappointed and frustrated. There were no good dictionaries, and whatever existed was bad. They weren't really built for people, they were built for generating revenue via ads. And this frustration kept on mounting until one day in 2010, I really had enough. I got really pissed off and decided to build a dictionary on my own. So I've been a technologist, coder, tinkerer for a long time, so I knew how to build I knew how to build a dictionary or the technology that powered it. The first several thousand words, bunch of words that came to my mind, I typed them up, English words, Malayalam definitions, and I built this dictionary. I called it Olam, O-L-A-M. Olam means wave in Malayalam. And 2010 October is when the dictionary went online. And it was just an act of frustration, but then it turned out to be an enjoyable act of creation. I got immense satisfaction. I started using my own dictionary. When I couldn't find a word in it, I'd go look it up in a real physical dictionary and add it. So all of that happened. Then something else started happening. Lots and lots of people started using the dictionary online. They'd find it somehow, they'd use it, they would email me saying this word is missing. It only had like 5,000 words that I typed up. Would you add this? So I built a small little crowdsourcing mechanism where people could submit a form and submit new entries to be added to the dictionary. And that blew up. I started getting a dozen, hundreds, thousands of new entries into the dictionary. So I'd had to sit and moderate the first year or so. And I realized this is a big gap. There are a lot of people, Malayalam speakers out there, who really want a nice dictionary built for humans. So I got really interested in dictionaries. I started looking for more means to add words to the dictionaries and started scraping word lists from the internet, adding it to the dictionary. And sometime in 2011, I found this one word file dumped on a Yahoo group. Yahoo groups, I mean, it's gone. It used to be an online thing where people ran online communities. It's deleted, gone off the face of the earth. I found this file, I think that was uploaded there sometime in 1997. It said Malayalam Dictionary, Nighandu. So I downloaded the file, and to my shock and surprise, it was a dictionary, Malayalam dictionary, thousands of pages that one person had typed up in the late 90s. So I did some digging. That was typed up by KJ Joseph. His nickname is Datuk. He's no more. He passed away in 2019. He was 90 years old. So I learned that in the 90s, in his retirement, Malayali settled in Malaysia, and he was honored with Datuk. Datuk is like the Padma Shri of Malaysia, I learned. So he was a social reformer, prominent citizen. In his retirement, he figured that internet is a thing. It's slowly evolving. Malayalam presence on the internet is very low. This is mid-90s. So why don't I take a bunch of old, out-of-copyright Malayalam books, type them up, digitize them, and post it online? So for years, he took books and typed them up. I learned that he taught himself how to type. So he typed with just one finger or two fingers. And this was a time when there was no technology for Indic languages. You couldn't just type Hindi, Malayalam, Tamil. It didn't exist. This is 1990, mid-1990s we're talking about. So he digitized and typed up thousands of pages and left it out there on the internet, in the void, in the comments, for anybody to take and read. And he'd hoped that it would circulate, there'd be a boom in digital Malayalam around that people would benefit. But it was there, lost, forgotten. I, out of sheer serendipity, something that started with my frustration, stumbled upon this file, I think 12 or 13 years later. I took the file, I ended up speaking to him once. He was very happy that a long lost, forgotten work of his I found. I spent the next 2 years cleaning it up, digitizing it, structuring it, and adding it to the Olam dictionary. And that was that. Olam now had an English-Malayalam crowdsourced dictionary and a Malayalam dictionary created by one person as a hobby in his retirement. Yeah. So then I moved in. So then I moved to Bangalore. This was early 2010s, mid 2010s. and I wanted to learn Kannada. I mean, my Kannada is really bad, good comprehension, but I can't speak well. But I wanted to learn Kannada, and I had the exact same experience. I was frustrated by the lack of a good Kannada dictionary. But I knew that there was a Datuk or KJ Joseph who had created something. I had a sense that there would be someone out there. There would be a KJ Joseph in Karnataka who had done a similar work. And again, by sheer coincidence, in the quest for a Kannada dictionary in 2019, I came across V. Krishna. He had spent 40 years of his life writing a Kannada dictionary from scratch. It has 1.5 lakh Kannada entries from contemporary words all the way to classical Kannada words. It has 2.5 lakh English definitions for those words. He started in the 70s as a hobby project to teach himself English. Thousands and thousands of pages of manuscript carried over many decades, improved over many decades. In the late 90s, he bought a computer just to learn typing and to digitize this. He tried to get it published. Publishers wouldn't publish it, saying he's not a scholar, he's not qualified to build a dictionary. So it was there, gathering dust. And as you can imagine, I was shocked and surprised. So partnered with V. Krishna and brought out his dictionary as an open source, open data artifact to the commons. And it went online in 2021. The dictionary is called Alar. And I would say it's one of the highest quality open data dictionaries in the world. Scholarly quality. I know that I've heard from South Asian studies professors in the Western Hemisphere that this is their go-to resource for Southeast Asian, South Indian language studies. It's become a thing online. And V. Krishna is still in Bangalore. He's still working on the dictionary. He's improving it on a daily basis. So this is like the 50th year. In fact, he's coming down to our office this January to give me a new set of words. He said he's added some 6,000 new words. He wants them to go online, to be published in the commons for everybody to benefit. So then I was sure that there are many V. Krishnas out there. And there was. In 2021, I met late N. Sridharan. He passed away just 3 months ago. He was 86 years old. Turns out he had also built a dictionary. He's only had formal education till the 4th standard. He was a laborer at a beedi factory in Kerala, Kannur. And in his younger years, he got really fascinated by languages. So he traveled across all 4 South Indian states, learnt the languages, and in the process of learning, he wrote a dictionary. The dictionary has 17,500 words in Malayalam and the equivalent words in all 4 South Indian languages. Sorry, 3 South Indian languages. So that's almost 70,000 words, one of its kind. And he was excited by Olam. He was excited by the idea of open source, digital commons, his work getting out there. He tried to get it published. A few copies were printed, but people don't buy volumes of dictionaries anymore. And 2024, we published the dictionary. It's called Samam. And then, as you can imagine, I had great certainty that every Indian language, every Indian state has many V. Krishnas, many KJ Josephs out there doing massive, mammoth, intellectual work, things that belong in the commons, things that will continue generating value for society for a very, very long time, as long as the digital realm exists. Then we met E.K. Kurup. He's a Malayali, he's settled in Mumbai. Turns out he'd spent the last 20 years, 25 years, writing a dictionary. And this dictionary, it's an English Malayalam dictionary. It's an English thesaurus plus Malayalam thesaurus. So it's a multi-thesaurus, multi-dictionary rolled into one thing. One of its kind in the world. And he sent me a PDF saying, this is what I've done over the last 25 years. Can we get it online? Can we add it to the commons? Can we open it up? That's 4,500 plus pages, the PDF. A bunch of technical work, structuring, cleaning, parsing, etc. Turns out there is 9.5 lakh entries in the dictionary. The word plant in English has 4,300 Malayalam definitions and synonyms. I think this is the largest dictionary in the world for any language. And he did it. He did it as a hobby because he was interested, he was curious, he wanted to learn, and this went online on November 1st. This November 1st, the past November 1st. November 1st was the 15th anniversary of the Olam dictionary. So we had a small little community meetup. We honored E.K. Kurup. It was great. None of these folks are technologists. They come from wildly different backgrounds. Practically nothing that's similar. But if you look at the work they've done across 50 years, in different geographies, under different circumstances, the work they've done is, the uncoordinated work they've done is monumental, as I said, but it's exactly the same kind of resource. They've built language dictionaries. These were all people in their old age who were fascinated by language and words and dictionaries and the idea of commons. They just wanted to build these things and give them out there. All that was missing was a little bit of technology. So in the 15th, as I said, is the 15th anniversary of Olam. And on a monthly basis, Olam, the Malayalam dictionary, is used by 2+ million people on a monthly basis. That's like 20+ lakh people use the dictionary on a monthly basis. Can you guess? I'll give you 5 seconds to guess the cost of running this large-scale technological enterprise that millions of people use. It's less than 500 rupees a month. Supriya. So less than 500 rupees a month, the right kind of minimal technology combined with people's intellectual pursuits that they've given to the commons is creating so much value in society. I can't describe it, I can't imagine, I'm not even qualified to understand its ramifications. I know that in this day and age where AI sucks up everything, and we're all worried about the representation, cultural, linguistic representation that representation in AI, especially in the Indic context where these are all scarcely resourced languages. This is important. The moment these open data dictionaries go online, they're all sucked up by AI systems. But they're going to do it anyway. We might as well have our linguistic heritage up there. Now forget that abstract outcome. I know of students, countless students who use these dictionaries, journalists who use these dictionaries. These dictionaries have been cited in judgments. I mean, people have forwarded me those things. Doctors use it. Everybody uses it. So after all of this, after all of this happened, I was able to, in hindsight, in retrospect, realize this. And I spoke about this somewhere, I think around in 2022. It was the fact that language is the pillar of civilization and society and existence. There's no civilization or society without language. We learn language in many different ways. We learn language orally, verbally, but if you truly want to deep dive into language, you need to have a dictionary, or somebody who teaches you has to have a dictionary. But a dictionary is not a commons thing. It's not a public commons thing. There are very few languages in the world that have open dictionaries. I know that the government of Norway and the French government, they have open data dictionaries that they publish, they fund, that everybody can use and derive from. But imagine having to pay a publisher to buy a dictionary to learn a language, a thing which is really the pillar of civilization. I found it so absurd, so shocking, so shockingly bad and disgusting that I decided to, well, I didn't really decide. I decided to continue pursuing whatever I'd been pursuing in the form of finding people like V. Krishna and bringing their works to commons. So, this is the power of digital commons. We hear of words like digital public goods, DPG, digital public infrastructure, DPI. These are all big, vague words that don't really mean much. The true power of digital commons is in things like Wikipedia, is in things like V. Krishna's work or the Olam dictionary, where technology is just a small little enabler. And something that you've created, when you put it in the commons, in the digital realm, outlives you and continues creating value and ripple effects for a long time. So open access, these are all principles. These are not technologies. Open access, open data, open standards, open source. These are all principles that sustain and perpetuate digital commons. And digital commons is something that can mobilize collective action. Wikipedia is the greatest example for this. OpenStreetMaps is the other greatest example for this. Millions of people across the world have come together to create two of the most valuable digital resources humanity has. And all it takes is time, effort, and commitment. Yeah, and the last bit I wanted to share, what I said in the beginning, digital commons is non-depleting. You can download the entirety of Wikipedia. It's available for download. Put it on a DVD and store it somewhere safe for the end of the world. And if you have a certain device to replay it, you can still use it hundreds of years from now if you keep replicating it. So digital commons has the power to really codify and protect civilizational assets, linguistic heritage, cultural heritage, human knowledge, when combined with the right kind of technology, when enabling the right kind of people. So it's non-depleting and scarce. Millions of people use Olam Dictionary every month. All it costs is about 480 rupees to run it. That these things require massive amounts of investment in technology, etc., is a myth. It's a lie. And that's all. That's what I wanted to share. Through the lives of 4 people that I've been privileged to interact with, through the act of pushing their creations to the digital commons, what they've created is a series of ripples that will sustain and perpetuate for, I think, centuries to come, for real. Most physical things that we would have built would have wiped out. Our companies, our startups, unicorns, everything would have been wiped out. But these things will live on forever. Thank you. One time, yes.
And now, thank you so much, Kailash. Thank you so much for inspiring us, for telling us these stories. I'd like to invite on stage, please आए रामलाल जी. हाँ, ठीक है. तो पीछे से आ रहे हैं कोई लोग. हाँ, ग्रीन रूम से आ रहे हैं. ठीक है. तो अभी बहुत दिलचस्प चीजें होने वाली हैं. Let's wait for 2 minutes and they are going to set up. Thank you.
मैं समझाता हूँ.
मुझे पता चला यहाँ जस्टिस मेकर मेला हो रहा है। क्या आपके कानून हमारी प्रजातियों की कहानी बताते हैं? क्या आपके कथाकार हमें अपनी कहानियों में शामिल करते हैं? क्या ये कानून है? क्या ये न्याय है? क्या ये न्याय है? क्या ये न्याय है?
मैं हरियाणा का हाथी हूँ। मेरे बच्चे छीन लिए जाते हैं, मेरे मुंह पे बम फोड़ दिया जाता है। मैं बहुत परेशान हूँ। मेरे को न्याय चाहिए, मेरे को न्याय चाहिए।
नमस्कार, मैं कोलकाता की हाथी हूँ। हमें मारा जा रहा है, हमारे जंगलों को खत्म किया जा रहा है, हमारे दांतों को निकाला जा रहा है, जिससे हमारी प्रजाति खत्म हो जा रही है। हम यहाँ जस्टिस मांगने आए हैं, जस्टिस मेला में।
नमस्कार, मैं केरला का हाथी हूँ। लोग तो मुझे केरला का प्राइड दिलाते हैं, पर मेरा आज़ादी छीना हुआ है। मैं मध्य प्रदेश का हाथी हूँ। हम सबको यहाँ अपने अधिकार की बात मानते हैं, लेकिन लोग तो कहते हैं हम उनके दुश्मन हैं। उन्हें लगता है कि हम उनकी जमीन उजाड़ देते हैं, हम उनके घर तोड़ देते हैं। कभी कभी इंसान जानवर आमने सामने बहस में इंसान की मौत हो जाती है। इसका समाधान क्या है?
मुझे लगता है हमें अपने परंपरागत संसाधनों की ओर जाना चाहिए।
अपनी परेशानी बताती है। बहुत सालों पहले की बात है, बहुत साल पहले की बात है। हमारे जंगल पूरे थे। मैं राजाजी नेशनल पार्क में रहती हूँ। मेरे बच्चे थे। विकास के लिए ट्रेन बनी। मेरे सामने मेरा छोटा सा बच्चा ट्रेन से टकरा गया और मर गया।
ऐसे रोती हो, समाधान मिलेगा क्या?
समाधान? मुझे लगता है अगर हाथियों की कोर्ट होती तो हम भी जाके अपना वकील बना लेती, जज बना लेते, न्याय अपने पक्ष में करवा लेते, सत्ता में हमारे लोग भी आ सकते थे, हमारे हिसाब के कानून बन जाते। लेकिन जंगल तो सबको चाहिए ना। हम हाथी हैं, बड़े हैं, हमारे इलाके भी बड़े चाहिए, जंगल भी बड़े चाहिए, और इंसानों के लिए तो हमने काम किया है ना। तो हमें बचाने के लिए कोर्ट को संज्ञान खुद लेना चाहिए, लोगों को संज्ञान लेना चाहिए, क्योंकि हमारा इकोलॉजी तभी बचेगा जब हम बड़े जानवर बचेंगे। चलो, हो सकता है यहाँ पे भी हमें कहीं कैद वेद, वैसे तो कैद है ही, और कोई कैद में डाल देगा, या हो सकता है हमारे लिए कोई बात करेगा। तुम्हें क्या लगता है, बात करेगा?
हमें लगता है बात कर।
आ जाओ, हम चल के सुनते हैं। आ जाओ, आ जाओ, आ जाओ। मैं इस हाथी की कथा को पूरा करने के लिए निशांत जी को आमंत्रित करता हूं कि वो इस सेशन को आगे बढ़ाएंगे। निशांत जी। थैंक यू।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका, बहुत शुक्रिया, थैंक यू। एब्सोल्युटली वंडरफुल, बहुत अच्छा था रामलाल जी, और it's a heavy story, isn't it? A very good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. मेरा हिंदी इतना अच्छा नहीं है, मगर फिर भी मैं कोशिश करूँगा। थोड़ा हाथी जैसा सुनाई पड़ेगा आप सबको। The only wish I have from what we heard from Lamlal ji, of course, is if elephants could speak human. And maybe a dictionary on the non-humans is something that we could think of. But if elephants could speak human, and every time I think of this, मैं काफ़ी बार इसके बारे में सोचता हूँ, और जब मैं पूछता हूँ मेरा who's the cleverest of us all? कौन है इस अर्थ पे, इस ग्लोब पे सबसे इंटेलिजेंट कौन है? एनी आंसर्स? एनीवन? वेरी काइंड, बीइंग अ ह्यूमन, इंसान, right? People. We are the cleverest? Maybe not, not really. But if you ask whether elephants should learn human or humans should be learning elephants, then I would think we should make the effort to actually get to know them better. And the effort today that we are going to do is really to try and understand these lovely social beings. And Seema, the world depends on you. So, okay. Do I have a pointer that I can use? Or a slide changer? Oh, it's with Kailash? Thank you. Where is it pointing? Okay, so elephants, उनको वो बहुत बड़े जानवर है. They require about 250 kilos a day of food, about 200 liters of water a day to drink. And they need to range in a very large area. बहुत बड़े जगह में वो घूमते हैं. About 500 to 1000 square kilometers, sometimes even more. ऐसे जंगलों में रहते हैं. In south of India, you have the dry deciduous forests. वहाँ पे बहुत हाथी मिलते हैं. हाँ, और recently we are also seeing a lot of the elephants using human-dominated areas. जहाँ हम रहते हैं, वहाँ पर भी हाथी दिख रहे हैं, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा अब. So let's do a small experiment. I think we all understand that elephants are very much like us. हम हमारे जैसे हैं हाथी, correct? Everyone thinks that, everyone knows that, and that's what we think elephants are. So let's do a small experiment to see whether elephants really are like us, or are we really like them. First thing is, imagine that you can see the world in a very different way. They have dichromatic vision, so they would see the world not like how you and I see every color, but they will see it in hues of browns, blues, greens. They probably see much better at night than you and I do. So now let's all do a small experiment. Close your eyes. Close your eyes, and I will sort of try and take you to be an elephant. So the first thing that you will notice once you close your eyes is that if I speak like this, as an elephant, you would be hearing like this. Your sense of hearing is very acute. So I don't really need to burst a cracker in front of you because that will sound like a bomb. The next thing to notice is that you cannot only smell the person next to you, but you could also smell the person 10 rows ahead of you and 10 rows behind you. Now, I don't know if that's a superpower that all of you would like to have, but you do. Then, if I walk on this dais, you can not just hear me walking, but you could also sense the vibration from your feet, and if you had an extended nose, from your nose as well. So this is what it means to be an elephant. And keep your eyes closed still, just for a few more seconds, and tell me if you can understand elephant language. All right, we can all open our eyes. This is what it means to be an elephant. You're able to decipher what that roar was, what that rumble was, the long distance contact call, and believe me, what we hear is only part of what they're communicating, because most of the rest of their communication is infrasound. So to just put a context to what we heard, this is what it looks like. That's a tantrum. Angry, irritated, frustrated. Just a tantrum. And you could also hear the sound of a vehicle there, honking at the elephant. You would hear something like this. And this happens mostly when they're scared, there's probably a predator around, or they've been disturbed, and hence you will see a very bunched behavior, with the calf being kept very close to the mother and the rest of the herd. And this, interestingly, was directed towards the camera that we have there. So even a camera can actually elicit a response by the elephant. Now, what do elephants do otherwise? They're spending most of their time dusting, bathing, socializing, living the life of an elephant. And I wished that I could also just spend time inside the forest with the elephants. And that was what I thought I should be doing in my life. But then the elephants brought me to people who I work with today. And one such very interesting person is with us here, and I'll introduce him to you in a bit. Elephants are also extremely intelligent, and we've all kind of seen this. And you will see here this elephant picking up that twig which he can break very easily and converting it into a tool. To scratch. Simple things in life, very enjoyable though. Now, like I said, we do have a lot of cameras. हम कैमरा लगाते हैं, ये मोशन सेंसर कैमरा है. जब हाथी और कुछ भी उनके सामने आता है तो it wakes up और फोटो निकालते हैं और वीडियो निकालते हैं हाथी का. क्यों लगाते हैं कैमरा? क्योंकि बहुत सारे हाथी में who I work with, जिनके साथ मैं काम करता हूँ, ये ह्यूमन डोमिनेटेड लैंडस्केप में है. लोगों से मिलना जुलना उनका रहता है हर बार, और जब भी हम रहते हैं वहाँ पे they get very nervous, so you will see a flight or a fight response. So to minimize our impact on the animals, we started using technology, which is camera. Now, we don't just get elephants in front of the camera, we very often get also very interesting, curious people who know that the camera has been there, so we go and tell them that this camera has been put. It's a place where it's commons. People come during the day and elephants come at night. And there are very interesting things that kids do teach us. And here they kind of go back and say, okay, I'll come back with a larger group of people and teach these researchers a lesson. And then they start dancing in front of it. So, and we all recognize that this is dance, right? So they're enjoying, it's a light moment. And what we see with elephants, of course, is another young male in front of the camera. And what is happening is this young male also has another individual elephant with him who's also very curious about the camera. So looking at it, touching it, thinking about it. So how many of you have the thinking posture? I see some of you. Very similar to PT Junior here. So he's thinking, and then they seem to have a bit of a discussion in front of the camera, and they let it be. And if you see the date on this, it's 9/7/2016. And then 10 days back, they come back on the same path, and all they do is actually make eye contact with that camera and keep moving. No more touching, feeling, discussions, none of those. What it basically means is that for these elephants, the camera itself is an agent of change. So we've changed their lives forever by putting that camera there. But what it also means is that they have updated their mental model of reality. उनको अभी पता चला है कि ये कैमरा यहाँ पे है और हर बार जब आएंगे तो हमें यहाँ पे कैमरा दिखना है. And they may not recognize it as a camera. It's an alien object in their world. But that mental model of reality is very important. And what we do is कई बार हमारे कैमरा को वो मार देते हैं. As in they break those cameras, they move them out. And what we do is we don't put those cameras back in that place. In some sense, we take consent from the elephant as to where the camera has to be placed. So consent is possible when you're working with the animals. It doesn't have to be very strictly what your study design has been. So the question we ask, and a lot of lawyers in the room, the question we ask is, would new forms of justice emerge if we shift our sense of precedence from strictly humans to include non-humans? And elephants, I think, act as a great symbol of this because their precedence is one that is rooted in continuity. The memory, the lifespan of the animal is 70 years more, and hence it becomes very important to understand them. What has changed is, of course, land use. हमारा पूरा जो हम काम करते हैं, वहाँ पे जो उगाते हैं, और water distribution has entirely changed. So this is an area, So this is a dryland area, and with irrigation, water comes in, and with that, crops come. And that attracts elephants. और हमारे यहाँ एक हाथी है जिनका नाम है पाल्या मैक. ये हर रात निकलते हैं बाहर. They go out, he goes out every night like clockwork. He's going out here towards the crop field from the forest in the evening. And then he comes back early morning before it's daylight, so that he's inside the forest. So a lot of people said this was a problem. हाथी आ रहे हैं हमारा खेत में और they're feeding on our crops, सब कुछ destroy हो रहा है, क्या करना है? So we'll put an electric fence. ये electric fence, ये pulsating current का fence है, ये direct electricity नहीं है. So it doesn't kill an elephant, मारता नहीं है हाथी को, मगर it gives an unpleasant feeling to the animal when it comes in contact with it. So the next day we see that this fence has been brought down. Now any guesses who did it? We didn't know. So we waited till morning, and this is what we see. That's Palya Mac in front, and he has an associate of his. Even his tail, watch his tail, tail. Even the tail. So what it means is Palya Mac has understood that this particular, whatever it is in front of it, gives it an unpleasant feeling and needs to be avoided. And so the whole circus of going over it, and the fellow who's coming behind is not in any rush to cross the fence either. He's watching and trying to understand how this older fellow does it so that he could do the same. The story doesn't end there. What we do is, the fence is a failure, so let's take it out of there. What's the point? And then the next day, when Palya Mac comes there, he still lifts his leg at exactly where the fence was. And he continues to do that even when he's coming back. And this continued for another 10 days, till he figured that he doesn't need to do that anymore. So conditioning, जो बोलते हैं हम, with animals is very easy. And the way we behave with the animals, they get conditioned really quickly. So the trial of any elephant, and if we bring it to the courtroom, the question is how much of the behavior of the animal is actually our behavior being reflected in that individual. So it's an important thing to ask. And we talk about this in terms of fragmentation of landscapes, of various things that are happening to elephants. But really, what does it mean to an elephant? So more and more that the elephants get emboldened to be among us, and more their habitats get fragmented, they change. Their memories change, and so do their social organization. Now we start getting larger bull groups, males grouping together to survive in a very high-risk landscape. Things like this. The first elephant that you see here is Venkataya. You'll hear more about him from a different name. And his associates, all of them walking back from the crop field into the forest in the morning. And here you see Hiristor trying to make a fence that has been set up by the forest department. What is really changing? Now, the experiment which we did, the closing of the eyes and figuring out how to be an elephant, is really sensing the organic space of the animal. What you touch, feel, smell. Now what you see happening here is a little more than that. You'll soon see that that's the highway connecting Bangalore and Mysore, these two cities, kind of twin cities in Karnataka, south of here. And this is about 2 o'clock in the morning. And you'll soon see Hiristor coming towards the highway. He's nearly walked about 60 kilometers from the closest forest, and he's going to travel another 40 kilometers before he reaches any other forest patch. So he knows how to open gates. You can also see him with his trunk doing a J sniff, which is trying to take the scent of the person who kind of ran behind him. And then he disappears into the darkness. And he's not seen for the next 6 months. He's in crop field areas, he's feeding, he's bulking himself up on nutritious crops. Now what's happening here is he's utilizing his organic space and the updation of the mental model of reality. He knows that there's a gate, he knows that there's a highway. He probably figures that, yes, there was a person who ran behind me when I was here at this point. So the place, space matters, the experience matters, and this becomes his imagined space for the next 6 months, because when he's coming back, he's expecting something similar. So what happens when he comes back? This is 6 months later. And if you see, the first thing you'll notice is this is not at night, it's during the day. You already see somebody on that highway, spotted something. You also see that the gate has changed. And the gate has changed because Mac, who is a close associate of Hiristor, once he comes, he doesn't know how to open gates, so he breaks gates. So he broke the gate and that was replaced. And now this is at 6:30 in the morning. There are a lot more vehicles. He has a younger associate with him. And you'll see that Hiristor is much calmer than his younger associate, who is a lot more skittish. Now, what happened here? Why would they come during the day? And where are they? And what's the consequence of them having traveling, large-bodied animals traveling during the day? And this happens to be an orphanage for children. And imagine two large bulls walking through an orphanage where children are playing. So the problem is where they are, when they are, how they behave. And what is happening is, I told you about the organic space, what they could touch, feel, smell, see. I told you about their imagined space, the idea of what the space is when they left 6 months ago. When they're coming back, we are developing and changing our landscape around us so quickly that things have changed completely for them. So the imagined space that they're coming back with is no longer what it was. It has changed. So they're gathering that mental model of reality more and more. And they're learning. And this phase of an elephant in the mind is its lived space, which is also where the conflict lies. यहीं पे हैं जहाँ पे वो पता नहीं उनको क्या एक्सपेक्ट करना है, क्या हो गया है हमारे रास्ते को, the old migratory routes that we keep talking about. What's happening to them? Why has it changed? How do I behave? Who's changed it? So can we imagine a court, like Ramlal ji was saying, where actually elephants hold people accountable? Are we ready to give ourselves up and be vulnerable enough to say, okay, hold me accountable? It's very difficult, but it's a space that can be done in the Justicemaker's Mela and in Agami, I think. The problem, however, is that not everybody thinks like this. And it's not easy to do it quickly. And very often what happens is such elephants get captured. They're put in a kraal or they die. The mortality rates of elephants in human use areas is much higher than inside the forested landscape. So whatever we do needs to be done quickly and needs to be done for the betterment of both the people and the elephants. Is it even possible to ask that question? Is it possible to live alongside elephants? Now, a lot of elephants like Hiristor, who I was hoping that I'll be studying only inside the forest, brought me to meet many people who Hiristor, Venkataya, Palyamak, and others interacted with, and made me realize that it's very important that we work with communities and people to make sure elephants like him continue to live free and live wild. And today, I must tell you, we have what I would call as a coexistence champion with us. And I'd like to invite Mr. Anand on stage, please, who has come from Javalagiri in Tamil Nadu. It's on the border of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. And I mean, I guess you can notice that that's Anand. And Anand has shown us in some way that it's possible to live alongside elephants. May not be in this manner, literally, but very close to it. So the rest of it, of how we can actually attain some sort of coexistence, is something that I'll request Anand sir to speak. And Anand sir, ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಇವತ್ತು? So Anand sir ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, which means he is going to speak in Kannada. वो कन्नड़ा में बात करने वाले हैं और मैं उसका translation English या हिंदी में, probably English, my Hindi is really bad, but probably in English and Hindi, and I'll try and do that. Anand sir?
ನಮ್ಮದು ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಬಾರ್ಡರು, ಡೈಲಿ ನಮ್ಮದು ಮಾವನ ತೋಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ದಿನಾ ತಿಂತಾ ಇತ್ತು
ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ
ಆನೆ. ಈ ಥರ ಡೈಲಿ ಬಂದು ನಾವು ಹೋಗೋದು, ನಾನು ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಡೈಲಿ ಈ ಥರ ಬಂದು ಹೋಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಎಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಮೇಲೆ ಫುಲ್ಲು ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಬಿಡ್ತು ಆ ಯಾನೆ. ಆ ಯಾನೆನ ಏನನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿ ನಮ್ಮೂರಲ್ಲೇ ಇಳ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ತೀರ್ಮಾನಕ್ಕೆ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
So I think it's kind of self-explanatory as well. Every day there's a visitation by an elephant, and Anand makes as much effort possible to keep the elephant, in this case with a wire.
ನಮ್ಮದು ರಾಗಿ ಹಳೆ ಕಾಲದ ರಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಪರಂಪರೆಯಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ತಾತ ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಾದರ್ ಆ ಕಾಲದಿಂದ ರಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈ ರಾಗಿನ ತಿನ್ನಕ ಯಾನೆ ಡೈಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್.
So this is ragi, the millet that is grown from, his ancestors used to grow it. So it's an heirloom ragi that Anand grows. And this is the kind of food that the elephants come looking for to eat.
ಇದು ನಮ್ಮದು ತೋಟ. ಸಾಂಬಾರಿಗೆ ಅವರೆಕಾಳು ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಾದ ವರ್ಷ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಿಚ್ಚ ಸೇಲ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ ನಾವು ತೋಟ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಸರ್.
So that's his farm, and he's growing cluster beans in this case. They grow these crops so that they can use this for consumption at home, and whatever is left is sold.
ಇದು ನಮ್ಮದು ಮಾವಿನ ತೋಟ ಸರ್. ಮಾವಿನ ತೋಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಕುರಿ, ಆಡು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಸುಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಡಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ ನಾವು.
And that's his mango farm, and the mango farm has goats, it has cattle as well.
ನಮ್ದು ಹಸುಗಳು, ನಮ್ಮ ಹುಡುಗ ಹಸುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು 15 ಇದೆ ಸರ್. ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾವಿನ ತೋಟದಲ್ಲೇ ನಾವು ಮೇಯಿಸೋದು, ಕಾಡ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
And that's his son with the cattle, and he has about 15 cattle at home, and most of them are grazed in the farms that he has.
ನಮ್ಮದು ಮನೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮ, ನಮ್ಮ ವೈಫು, ನಾವು ಮಾವಿನ ತೋಟ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಕ್, ನಾವು ಮುದ್ದೇನು ಹೊಡೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಕ್ಕು. ನಮಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕಾಸು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಸರ್ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಕ್ ತಕೊಂಡು.
So that's his family, and Anand insists that he grows only organic. No chemicals used.
ನಮ್ಮ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಸರ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡು ಈ ಥರ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ವಾಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಕಾಡಿಗೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೂ 500 ಮೀಟರ್ ಸರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸು.
That's the land that he has, and the distance of the land to the forest is only about 500 meters.
ರಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಹೊಲ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ ಬೀಜ ಹಾಕೋದು. ಜುಲೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬೀಜ ಹಾಕಿ ನಾವು ರಾಗಿ, ಕಡಲೆ ಬೀಜ, ರಾಗಿ, ಅವರೆಕಾಳು ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕೋದು ಸರ್.
So the sowing starts around July, just with the rains coming in, and they do have the seeds of ragi which they use.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ರಾಗಿ ಈ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು 3 ತಿಂಗಳಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಈ ಥರ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಮಗೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಭಜನೆಗೆ ಇನ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತದೆ ಸರ್.
So in 3 months time the crop is there, it's in the vegetative stage, it's there out for everyone to consume. That's about September, October, and Anand says that's when his jagaran starts at night.
ಈ ಥರ ಆದಮೇಲೆ 50% ಕಾಡು ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್. 50% ಕಾಡು ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಇನ್ನು 50% ನಮಗೆ ಉಳಿತಾಯ ಆಗೋದು.
So only about 50% is what they can take home, because the rest is kind of consumed by the wild animals that are there, including birds, rodents, deer, wild pigs, elephants also.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಕಟಾವ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಈ ಥರ ಡ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು 8 ದಿನ ಒಂದು ಸೈಡ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಹೊರೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಕಡೆ ಸಾಗಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್ ಅದು.
So this is post harvesting, it's being dried. And this is also when the crop is most vulnerable to elephants, because then it's like a buffet. If they just come, they can take it all.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಬಂದು ಒಂದು ಸೈಡಲ್ಲಿ ಮಡಗಿ ಈ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡ್ರೈ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಒಂಥರ ಪ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್.
So this is something called as the kana, which is prepared, which is the threshing area. So once the crops are dry, they're brought here, and then the threshing starts.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಈ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಮುಚ್ಚಿಟ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್. ಒಂದು 15 ದಿನ ಮುಚ್ಚಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್.
So you stack the ragi like this, the millets, for about 15 days, and post which it's brought to the kana, the threshing area.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಇವಾಗೂ ಹಸುಗಳಲ್ಲೇ, ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಮಿಷಿನಲ್ಲೂ ಕೊಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಇವಾಗೂ ಹಸುಗಳಲ್ಲೇ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಸರ್.
So no tractors used, it's hard manual labor. Cattle are used even today.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನ ವೇಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಸೈಡ್ಗೆ ಹಾಕಿ, ರಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಸೈಡ್ಗೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಇದು ಮಾಡೋದು ಸರ್.
So the grains and the straw is separated here, and it's cleaned. This is that process of cleaning.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಎತ್ತು ಮಾಡಿ ಈ ಥರ ಮನೆಗೆ ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬಿಸಿಲಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಪೌಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಮುದ್ದೆ ಮಾಡಿ ತಿನ್ನೋದು ಸರ್.
So this is the final stage of bagging of ragi and taking it home, and then there's grinding of those millets and then finally used for consumption as ragi balls or ragi dosa and things like that.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ನಮ್ಮದು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಡೈಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಮುಂದ್ಗಡೆನೆ ಹೋಯ್ತವೆ ಸರ್ ಆನೆ.
So these are videos taken by Anand of Venkataya, or Motwal as he calls it, because he has a cut tail right in front of his house.
ಇದು ಮನೆ 10 ಅಡಿ ಪಕ್ಕನೇ ಸರ್ ಬಾಳೆ ಮರ ಎಲ್ಲ ತಿನ್ನೋದು. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಮಟ್ವಾಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೆಸರು ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
So this is about 10 feet from his house where the elephant is feeding on plantains. And like I said, Anand has named it Motwal, which is cut tail or short tail.
ಈ ಥರ ಬೆಳೆನ ಈ ಥರ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅರ್ಧ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತವೆ ಸರ್. ಅದರಿಂದ ಹೊಸ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಹುಡುಕಿ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಸರ್.
So whenever the elephants walk through the crop fields, this is the kind of damage you'll see. Some of it is trampling, a lot of it is trampling, and some of it is consumption, feeding as well.
ಈ ಥರ ತಿನ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದು ಲದ್ದಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಕಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಕಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗೂ ಅದು ಊಟ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ. ನಮಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ಇರುತ್ತದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಕಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ತಿನ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೇನೆ ಕಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋ ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಊಟನೂ ಸಿಕ್ಕೋದು ಸರ್.
So you'll see the telltale signs of having fed. This is an elephant dung with ragi or millet in it. And what Anand is also saying is that when they drop these dung piles inside the forest, other animals also get to feed them. There is food, but it's at the cost of Anand losing the crop.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು ನಿರ್ಧಾರಕ್ಕೆ ತಗೊಂಡ್ವಿ ಸರ್. ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಾಡಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಆನೇನೂ ಇರಬೇಕು, ನಾವು ಬೆಳೆ ಬೆಳಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ತಗೊಂಡ್ವಿ ನಾವು.
So in the village, he was asked basically what to do about this issue. And then what Anand is saying is that they decided that all of us are going to get together and do something about this now.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು 25% ಆನೆಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟುಬಿಟ್ಟು 75% ನಾವು ಬೆಳೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. 25% ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಸೋಲಾರ್ DC ಮಾಡಿ ಬಿಟ್ವಿ ಸರ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದು 25% ತಿನ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಮಗೆ 75% ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಬಿಟ್ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಸರ್.
So what they've done is quite interesting. So what you see is, firstly, the design of the fence has been changed from a horizontal fence to something that falls from the sky. It's a hanging wire fence. So it's done basically because elephants have learned that their tusks are non-conductors of electricity, so they can pull any wire that is out there. So a hanging wire doesn't allow you to do that because it makes it that much more difficult to get to any stable point. The second thing they've done is they've decided to leave about 25% of the area on the outer periphery of their farm where the crops will be grown, but the fence is not on the border, but it's slightly inside, leaving some crop out for the animals to come and feed.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸೋಲಾರ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನೇನೋ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವು ಸರ್, ಬರೋಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಮರ ಮುರಿದ್ವಿ, ಏನೇನೋ ಮಾಡಿ ಬಿಸಾಕಿದ್ವು, ಒಳಗೆ ಬರೋಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ನಾವು ಮರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಜೋಪಡಿ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ಚೆಂದಾಗಿ ನಿದ್ದೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಏನೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಬೆಳೆಗೆ ಏನೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಅದು.
So they tried and this worked, basically because they tried bringing logs of wood and putting it on the fence, didn't work. And Anand continued to sleep on his machan or the watchtower just to see what the animals are doing. And the elephants were getting this unpleasant feeling and they were returning. Like this, for example.
ಇವಾಗ ಸೈಡಲ್ಲಿ 25% ಅದು ತಿನ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಯ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ನಮಗೇನು ತೊಂದರೆ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬೆಳೆ ಆಗ ಗಂಟ ಸೋಲಾರ್ ಮಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನು ವಾಪಸ್ ಕಳೆದು ಮನೇಲಿ ಮಡ್ಕೊತೀನಿ ಸರ್ ನಾನು.
So once the harvesting is done, they remove that existing fence as well, and the elephants get to roam around in the fallow regions. So basically, if you see this figure on the bottom left, That's how the fence is laid, the straight line. So the elephants do come and feed on what is outside. And because it's a hanging wire, it keeps moving up and down, which basically means the animal cannot stay in one place for long. So it has to keep moving with it as well. And the elephants have from about 10 o'clock at night till about 4 o'clock in the morning to feed, after which it's daylight hours, so they want to get into the forest. And that's the time they want the elephants to spend on their crop field.
ಇವಾಗ ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಒಂದು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಮನಗರ ಡಿವಿಷನ್, ಚನ್ನಪಟ್ಟಣ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಒಂದು 850 ರೈತರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಮಾವಿನ ತೋಟಕ್ಕೆ, ಬಾಳೆ ತೋಟಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡಲ್ಲಿ 350 ಫೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಇವಾಗೂ ನನ್ನ ಕರಿತಾನೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್. ನಾನು ಹಾಕಿರೋದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. 5 ಮಾತ್ರ ಅವರು ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರು ಸರ್. ಮಿಚ್ಚ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೆನ್ಸು ನಾನು ಹಾಕಿರೋದು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾವ್ರೆ ಸರ್ ವರ್ಕು.
So most of the systems that he has set up of sharing and feeding have worked really well, except for about 5 or 6 who have not maintained it very well according to Anand, and it has failed.
ಈಗ ಇದಾಗದ ಮೇಲೆ ತುಂಬ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ ಜನಗಳು ಆವಾಗ ಬಂದು ಯಾರು ಹಾಕಿದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಬಂದು ನನ್ನ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾವ್ರೆ. ಸಿಂಪಲ್ಲಿ ವುಡ್ ಮರದಲ್ಲೇ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಕಾಸಿರೋರು ಕಬ್ಬಿಣ ಪೈಪಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾನು ನೀಲಗಿರಿ ಮರದಲ್ಲೇ ಹಾಕಿ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್.
Locally available material is used basically to build these fences and protect the crops, and that has been extremely successful for Anand. So I'd like to really thank Anand for having come all the way here and for having shared. It's a long process of growing crops and getting it home to feed on it or to sell it. It's very, very important that such produce is also, we recognize that kind of effort, and this enables elephants to live alongside people.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು 2 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕಾಗಷ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಸರ್. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ 10 ಜನ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಮಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಿಚ್ಚ ಸೇಲ್ಸು. ನಾನು ಮದ್ದು ಹೊಡೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಕ್ಕು ದನನ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಹಾಕಿ ಬೆಳೆಯೋದು. ನನಗೆ ಡಬಲ್ 50 ರೂಪಾಯಿದೆ 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗ್ತಾರೆ ಸರ್. ನಾನು ಮೆಡಿಸಿನ್ ಯಾವುದು ಮಾವಿನಕಾಯಿಗೆ ರಾಗಿಗೆ ಏನು ಇವತ್ತು ಹೊಡೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
So the story of coexistence that Anand has developed basically is enabling him to also benefit from the fodder and the crops that he's been growing. Yeah, so with that, can I just take a minute to thank Ramlalji and invite him on the dais? Thank you, Anand sir. Please. Please.
Thank you.
But thank you very much, Ramlalji. Thank you. So this is really the...
ಎರಡು ಮಾತು ಮಾತಾಡಿ
okay.
ಸರ್, ನಾನು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಸಾರ್ ಹತ್ರ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ABCD ಬರೆಯೋಕ್ಕೆ ಕೂಡ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವಾಗ ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ತಮಿಳ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಕನ್ನಡ ನಮ್ಮದು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊ ಓದಿಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ಸ್ವರಾಜ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಸೋಲಾರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದು. ಯಾರ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗಿ ನಾನು ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನೇ ಕಲ್ತು ರೈತರಿಗೆ ನಾನೇ ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಆನೆನ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್. ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಂತ ಅವ್ರು ಓನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರೂ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್ ನಾನು.
So he has studied till about 4th standard, has done what he has done basically by learning and observing and trying to protect the crops, and also in that sense trying to protect the elephants. So thank you again, Anand sir, Ramlalji sir. I think our time is also up, and maybe I've taken a little more than what was scheduled. But thank you all for listening. But I think the idea of coexistence is really हमें जानवर को जानना है और उनके साथ कैसे रहना है, ये हमें पता करना है. So that's an effort, and hopefully the justice will be served at some point. Thank you.
वॉलंटियर को थैंक यू जो वॉलंटियर ने हमें सपोर्ट किया था.
Yes, thanks to all the volunteers as well. Thank you.
Hello everybody, sorry, before you all step out, just want to take 2 quick minutes from all of you. Nishant, Anandji, Ramlalji and all the people who stepped up on stage and जिन्होंने हाथियों का एक उनको एम्बॉडी किया. थैंक यू सो मच. द एक्चुअल एलिफेंट्स अनफॉर्चुनेटली couldn't join us here. जस्ट वॉन्ट टू से दैट इस साल जस्टिस मेकर्स मेला में हमने न्याय की बहुत सारे अलग अलग रूप देखे हैं. हमने RTI एक्ट के साथ कैसे एंगेज करें, DPDP जो लेजिस्लेशंस आ रहे हैं उनके साथ कैसे एंगेज करें, हम अपने मोहल्ले में कैसे जस्टिस बनाए. जैसे वरुण ग्रोवर ने कल बहुत खूबसूरती से बोला है कि अपना जो बाल्टी है हम अपने हिस्से की ज़मीन को कैसे सूखा रखें. लेकिन आज हमने थोड़ा सा ये भी देखा कि न्याय सिर्फ इंसानों के लिए नहीं है. जस्टिस इज नॉट जस्ट फॉर ह्यूमंस बट ऑल्सो फॉर मोर देन ह्यूमन अदर्स जो इस धरती को हमारे साथ शेयर करते हैं. और इसके साथ ही मैं छोटा सा अनाउंसमेंट करना चाहता हूँ जो कि अगले साल हम फिर से मिलेंगे और अगले साल हम एक ऐसा ही माहौल, ऐसा ही खूबसूरत माहौल एक क्रिएट करना चाहते हैं जिसको हम अभी के लिए बोल रहे हैं हर प्राणी, जहाँ पे आप सब होंगे, हम होंगे और होपफुली जो प्राणियां आज हमारे साथ इस ऑडिटोरियम में नहीं आ पाए वो भी शायद होंगे हमारे साथ. थैंक यू वेरी मच. ओवर टू यू सचिन.
Before everybody leaves, there are just a few quick announcements that we need to make. Can I just request कि अगर हम 2 मिनट अगर वेट करें तो कुछ important announcements. Before that, Neeraj wants to say a few words.
बहुत शुक्रिया. सबसे पहले तो थैंक यू, आपने ये रिक्वेस्ट मानी कि मैं यहाँ पे आपको ये अनाउंस कर सकूं. मैं एक बधिर ISL टीचर हूँ, भारतीय सांकेतिक भाषा पढ़ाता हूँ. नीरज मेरा नाम है और उसके साथ देशना भी यहाँ पे है. हम भारतीय सांकेतिक भाषा पढ़ाते हैं और आपने देखा होगा हमारे साथ यहाँ दुभाषिया स्टेज पे खड़े हैं, वो इंटरप्रेट कर रहे हैं क्योंकि हमारे साथ बधिर पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं और ये हमारी भाषा है और हम इसको सुगम्य समझते हैं. और बधिर लोगों की ये फर्स्ट लैंग्वेज है. इट्स अ नेचुरल लैंग्वेज. हम संप्रेषण कम्युनिकेशन इसी में करते हैं. ISL का फुल फॉर्म है भारतीय इंडियन साइन लैंग्वेज. हम दोनों ये पढ़ा रहे हैं यहाँ पे जयपुर में. हम एक सेंटर में पढ़ाते हैं और ऑनलाइन भी सेशंस लेते हैं सैटरडेज को. आपको जल्दी से बता दें, जयपुर में कॉम्पोजिट रिहैबिलिटेशन सेंटर है CRC. जो वहाँ पे हर शनिवार को 2 घंटे का भारतीय सांकेतिक भाषा का क्लास होता है, ISL क्लास होते हैं. अगर आप इच्छुक हैं, इंटरेस्टेड हैं, आप आइए, ज्वाइन करें. हमारे पास एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप है, उसका हमारे पास QR है. आप अगर सीखना चाहते हैं आप उसको ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं. उस ग्रुप में हम अपडेट शेयर करते हैं. तो आप सभी से आग्रह है कि आप बधिर लोगों के कम्युनिटी में जुड़िए और सांकेतिक भाषा सीखिए. छोटा सा मैं भी देशना यहाँ पे ऐड कर देती हूँ कि हम ये इसीलिए बोल रहे हैं क्योंकि समुदाय, हमारा जो समुदाय, हमारी जो भाषा है और हमारी समुदाय है, एक माइनॉरिटी है. लेकिन ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि हम एक दूसरे के कम्युनिटीज़ में मिल नहीं सकते हैं. वही इंक्लूजन का जो मेन स्ट्रीम अगर हम सब होना चाहते हैं, हमारी भाषा भी हम सब सीखें. बधिर लोग हर जगह हैं, किसी भी सेंटर में, चाहे रेलवे स्टेशन हो, एयरपोर्ट हो, कहीं भी हो सकता है आगे चल के जैसे वहाँ पे प्लेटफॉर्म एकदम से चेंज हो जाता है, एयरपोर्ट पे अनाउंसमेंट्स होते हैं, हमें ये सब पता नहीं चलता है क्योंकि ऑडियो सेंट्रिक इन्फॉर्मेशन होते हैं. अगर आप बेसिक साइन लैंग्वेज हमसे सीख लें तो आप हमसे ये सारी चीज़ें कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हैं. हमें ऐसा नहीं लगेगा हमारे पास कोई सपोर्ट नहीं है. हमारी मोबिलिटी, हमारी कम्युनिकेशन में मदद होगी बिकॉज मोस्टली लोग नहीं कर पाते हैं. तो हियरिंग पीपल, मोर एंड मोर हियरिंग पीपल अगर साइन लैंग्वेज सीखते हैं, डेफ पीपल गेट मोर एक्सेस, मोर सपोर्ट. एंड ऐसा नहीं है हम आपको कह रहे हैं कि एकदम बढ़िया साइन लैंग्वेज है, बट बेसिक तो हम सब सीख ही सकते हैं. तो यही बस छोटा सा हमारा यहाँ पे था. थैंक यू सो मच. लग रहा है आप सभी को देख के आप सीखना चाहेंगे और थैंक यू सो मच टू द आगामी टीम एंड द जस्टिस मेकर्स मेला टीम.
Thank you, Neeraj ji. Thank you, Saurav. Okay, lunch के लिए जाएंगे. At 2:30 after lunch we have कुछ sessions. एक सबसे पहला है जो यहाँ लॉ फाउंडेशन आवाज़ का हक जो लॉन में होगा. Then we have Bill for Justice by पुकार कॉन्फ्रेंस रूम 1 में. Traditions in Action, Learning from Indigenous Governance by Atma Shakti Trust, ये मिनी ऑडिटोरियम 1 में, मेन ऑडिटोरियम PFA यानी इसके बाहर इस ऑडिटोरियम के बाहर ही इमेजिनिंग थर्ड स्पेसेस कल्टिवेटिंग क्रिएटिविटी केयर एंड कम्युनिटी, ये टिंकर हब और आगम शाह इज टेकिंग दिस सेशन. मल्टीपर्पज हॉल में अ विलेज कम्स टुगेदर, हीलिंग व्हाट वाज ब्रोकन बाय काउंसिल टू सिक्योर जस्टिस. बैठक में बैक टू अर्थ एंड ईच अदर. बुक नुक में दिल की अनकही बातें, ये मनीष जी एंड सचिन जैन जी लेंगे. कम टेक अ साउंड बाथ, Ravishu Punya in the main auditorium. Save Our Aravallis, Rajendra Singh ji, Waterman of India, main auditorium 2 में. Conference room PFA, Between the Lines, storytelling workshop, Dhruv Sehgal will conduct this. Anyone can AI, Open Nyay, conference room 2. And lastly, community mural art project ka workshop will happen in the lawn. Thank you. This will be at 2:30. We will start sharp on time. So, and one important thing for those who are still hearing, लॉन में इस वक्त अभी गौले भाई जो शाम को परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, they are doing their sound check. The sound check might continue.